birthday present this year, I went to the Strasburg Railroad, which I had not been back to in over a decade. For those of you who don't know, the Strasburg Railroad is the oldest continually operating railroad in the United States, first opening in 1832. It runs 9 miles from its home at the East Strasburg station to Lehman Place in Paradise, Pennsylvania, adjacent to Amtrak's Keystone Corridor. Since late May, a special visitor has been running at Strasburg. Norfolk and Western J class, number 611, the sole survivor of its class, returned to Strasburg in partnership with the Virginia Museum of Transportation to pull excursion trains and offer special events like blowing the whistle, firing the locomotive, and driving the locomotive. When I arrived on the 9th of July, there were 2 excursion trains left for the day. 611 only pulls excursion trains on the weekend, so on Fridays she's moved up to Lehman Place and does cab experiences. Before 611 returns to Strasburg, the 5 o'clock excursion rolls by with Norfolk and Western 475, an M-class locomotive, pulling the consist. The last excursion of the day is at 7 o'clock, which gives 611 enough time to get back to Strasburg after her last cab experience, which is at 6:10. 15 minutes before she came by, it started raining hard, so I waited with my camera under a shelter. When her headlight was in view, it started to rain even harder. I'm still glad I was able to see her. Here is Norfolk and Western J class number 611 returning from cab experiences, with her auxiliary tender and a caboose in tow. Today is the day that I got to ride behind 611. I got up bright and early for the first train of the day at 11 o'clock. The station was packed with rail fans ready to ride as well. We climbed into the closest passenger car, which was an open-air car. We ride the 4.5-mile tracks up to Lehman Place, where 611 runs around for the return trip. As we arrive back at East Strasburg, we sit on the main line to let the second excursion of the day leave the platform. Strasburg runs 2 excursions on the weekends, as ridership is higher. Today, 475 is pulling the second excursion. We wait for quite some time due to a broken brake valve on 475's train. After that was fixed, she was on her way. After 611 pulls into the station, I dash out of there to catch it at different locations along the line. Our first stop is Cherry Hill, which is directly next to the Cherry Crest Adventure Farm. Here comes 611 leading the 12:30 excursion through Cherry Hill and Groff's Grove. Our next stop is Carpenter's Crossing, where you can hear Strasburg's ghost whistle. 475 will show you that later. Right now, 611 is coming back down the line with the 12:30 excursion and is making excellent time as she pulls through the crossing. As 475 approaches the crossing, she stops just short to listen for the ghost whistle. See if you can hear it. A little while later, I arrived back at East Strasburg Station. Just like Lehman Place, this is the end of the line, and the locomotive will have to run around to the other end of the train. After 475's third excursion of the day left for Paradise, 611 pulls in with her train. This is where 611 will uncouple from her train and run around to the front for her next trip. As the day draws to a close, only 2 trains remain on the schedule. I go back to the Red Caboose Motel to see 611 haul her second-to-last train of the day towards East Strasburg Station. Everyone gathers at the Red Caboose Motel to see the last train of the day being pulled by the magnificent 611. Jim Thorpe is a small town nestled in the Lehigh Valley with a population of under 5,000 people. At the heart of the town is the Lehigh Gorge Scenic Railway, which is owned and operated by the Reading and Northern Railroad. The railway runs excursions and regular freight from the town of Jim Thorpe to other cities like Reading and Port Clinton. The railroad owns mainly diesel locomotives, but they have 2 steam locomotives for excursion service, and only one of them is in operational condition right now. This locomotive is 462 Pacific Class number 425. 425 was built in 1928 for the Gulf, Mobile, and Northern Railroad and pulled freight most of its career. It was retired in 1950 and purchased by the Louisiana Eastern Railroad to pull gravel trains and the occasional passenger train. It went through many owners before ending up at the newly formed Blue Mountain and Reading Railroad in 1983, now called the Reading and Northern Railroad. 425 is scheduled to go in for an overhaul, and today was the last day to see her in action. We rode the 11 o'clock excursion from Jim Thorpe so we could experience what it's like to be behind the massive machine. Once we got back, we set up for the 1 o'clock departure. The locomotive has to go through the station to reach the front of the train. Here it is pulling past my camera so it can switch onto the train. Before the next service starts, the locomotive waits in front of the crossing, because if it were to couple up to its train, it would block the railroad crossing leading to the parking lot. At around 12:50, the train backs down to couple up. Once it hits 1 o'clock, 3 short warning blasts are blown and the train is underway. That concludes my trip to the town of Jim Thorpe to see 425 run before it goes in for an overhaul. If you haven't yet, go check out the first video of the Pennsylvania trip where I visit the Strasburg Railroad. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and always remember, enjoy trains!